So hopefully this goes. Yes, so we are live. So thank you for this end of the week. We are Friday here in actually sunny Switzerland. So my name is Hyder. I'm the founder of Kainjoo, and today I'm happy to welcome you if you are joining this live for a presentation of a role we created not so long ago called the brand tech specialist. Why we decided to actually it was not planned to go live like this, but we felt it's Friday, why not? And second of all, I think we just have so much questions in the last few weeks and months regarding that role that we felt compelled now to just reach out to all of you and do it with this information session. I think we are going to do it more and more through that format because it's just easier and more humane in terms of workload to do it like that instead of basically repeating the same question to every interview. We also prepared this to be with Vanda, one of our first brand tech specialists. So thank you, Vanda, for joining us. Um, so you are a brand tech specialist since when now? When did you join Kenju?
Actually, it's been 5 months. I've
Five
joined the
months.
first week of June.
Okay, so we'll come back to you in the second part of that kind of webinar. Let's call it whatever that conversation. Let's keep it simple. So I will be your host. Obviously, I have an interest to find more people, joining our company with this type of role. But let's start with the agenda. So what do we have for you cooking for today? Just an understanding, a definition of who is and what is a brand tech specialist. And please, Vanda, if you want to stop me and just I talk a lot. People who knows me know that I can talk a lot, right? So if you feel that I'm missing something and if you should precise something, please feel free to intervene. Okay.
All right, with pleasure.
So, for the people who don't know me, I've been in this industry, let's call it regulated field, for quite some years. And something that I tried deeply to embed in the work I do, whenever it was to transform companies, was to always mix in a subtle way creative work, marketing, and technology in a nutshell to be transparent for commercial operations. And every time that I was trying to do this, people were telling me, "Oh, it's like a methodology. It's a framework. It's a methodology you guys have created." And it's true, we did use those terms to define what we did. But basically, we also created, and the people who worked with me internally at Kinju, even in the companies I worked, whatever it was, Ferring or Gedeon Richter or other companies, you felt that I'm always bringing one of those three legs to the job. Either it's creative tech or marketing, we're always something that I try to mix. And that's when I finished my mission for Fairing and I came back and people were telling me, we want to find that, but it's we don't want an agency, we don't want a consulting company. We want to have that mixture on an everyday basis within our organization. And this is where I felt, okay, so it's not going to work if we keep hiring specialists and having like dozens of persons working on a campaign. It's never going to work, especially because the market has changed. And Vanda might tell you that nowadays you don't need a developer to build a landing page. You don't need a developer or graphical designer to build something decent from a visual perspective for social media marketing. You don't need actually even a translator nowadays to translate some stuff because AI and machine learning can help. So the world of commercial operation in terms of efforts has dramatically changed. And it's very difficult for a VP or a chief marketing officer to come and say, I need 20 people to work on my brand. So this is where you need actually people who make the brand lives on different channels. And yes, there is tech associated to it, but we see much more low tech and no code type of platform now taking the lead in terms of simply day-to-day activities. So this is how we started to come to that mindset of trying to identify in the wording a brand that could be disrupted with new channels, emerging tech and channels. So the first mission, that just to keep it simple, you can read, and obviously we are making this available. Everything that we are showing you here is available on our career website. So by the way, if you want to download this, it's there, it's available. The first mission that we feel impelled to run is of course marketing. And here I'm going further than marketing. I worked in my first thesis when I was in my master degree for marketing. I worked a lot on the emotional aspect of marketing, the neuromarketing aspect, and how to trigger behaviors, how to trigger expected behaviors from different rendezvous points or touch points. So this is something I worked a lot a few years ago. And this is something that is very dear to my heart, that when we create a tagline for Google AdWords or for an email, a subject of an email, or when you work on the landing page, that those wordings mean something. So that is the first aspect of things. You need to have data, the target in mind, the persona you want to disrupt the behavior for, and that is for me an essential part of the nowadays marketing, right? And that's why I call it more an emotional marketing approach. The second piece to that mission is technology engineering. And engineering doesn't mean like complicated. It doesn't mean like you need to be a C++ developer. It needs to be adopted and scaled. So that's for me, it's a very, very different type of approach to technology. So for all my friends in the tech world, and I know some of from my friends will hate me when I say that, yes, you don't need a DevOps engineer every time when you develop something. Actually, you have now decent platforms that can help lifecycle manage a brand on a day-to-day basis. Of course, I'm not going to say no, right? To sometimes we have medical device class 1 or B, application to develop, and you have experiences that are really, really complex. This is a different game, right? Here we're talking the brand tech specialist is someone that can basically add a page, change a page, do a drag and drop type of build on a page builder, that kind of thing, right? So we are talking about someone who knows, for example, some notion about SEO, technicalities, regarding page speed, security, the basics. But it's not someone that is going to be, developing on React, Angular. That's not the type of people. Of course, when we say having a pendulum, it's always better to know HTML, right? If you don't know HTML and you want to work in those jobs, it's going to be difficult. If you don't know what is CSS, it's going to be a bit difficult. If you don't know what is a JavaScript file, it's going to be difficult. So culturally, you need to have that curiosity. And that is kind of also why we ask those questions in interviews. It's not because it's I will call it a game that we want you to be trapped in. We want to have something that you culturally are connected to that. The last point, what is quite important, I would feel we miss it sometimes, and this is where our brands we work for are very much looking after, is creativity and branding. So again, some of the brands we work for doesn't have the luxury to have for every social media post a creative director, an artistic director, a graphical designer. It doesn't mean they want the cheap stuff neither, but it means that we have a conversation vehicle or campaign that has been defined, and we need someone who can, again here, adapt from one channel to the other, one campaign to the other, the same soul of the campaign essence, right? And the brand's rules, the design rules should be embedded there. So an example to highlight my points here, it means that if you have a brand guideline, that brand tech specialist knows how to place a logo in the right spot or to detect where to place the logo in the right spot because they have that sensitivity. It could be also having some rules known about, font sizes and basically, black space, dead space, white spaces, padding, and margin rules when it comes to a web page. So this is a type of minimum knowledge that we want someone to know. We're not looking to have a fully fledged graphical designer here. That's not what I'm saying, but we need to have someone who knows how to order a job when it comes to a new campaign. But also if you're on Canva or Adobe Express or that type, or even, on Figma or Adobe XD, whatever, you have those minimum uh, learnings or knowledge behind you to operate. Okay. So that is for the intro of the role. So it's not necessarily a product marketing role. It's not a project marketing role. It's someone who can operationally make the campaign or the brand or the product lives on omnichannel. Am I correct? Depending on how you say it, Vanda, I'm just going to you now with what I said. Do you want to complete me? Do you see it in your everyday life, with your current job at Kainjoo and your customer? What do you have to add on this?
I would definitely say that those three skills that you've just presented are necessary to succeed in this job because of multiple projects and multiple um, deliverables. And I would say that you need to have the eager to learn if you are missing out on some points, because I'm not saying you can, but um, this job is really requires somebody who knows more and is ready to deep dive in these skills and mindsets.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a fair point because it's a field that moves every day, right? So it's not something where you get a training on Monday and you get to just live through this training for the entire year, right? You're going to get exposed to much more advancements, and you have to test and try, and your customer, I guess, also Vanda, they are going to bring you challenges, right? To where they need that flexibility, that culture of being agile, right? In terms of testing, trying, and moving on. Uh, keeping the goal, yeah, keeping the goal of delivering something. So that's why I keep stressing in interviews with people who comes to that role with more of a strategic background. This is not a consulting job, right? Just to be clear, a brand tech specialist is having, a calendar of the brand. The brand is living through a different calendar. It could be, if I take a chocolate brand, just to keep it simple, you have your Valentine's Day, your Halloween, your Christmas, your Mother's Day, and so on. So brand tech specialists likely will have to support the calendar of the brand with different campaigns, different channels, different content, different reporting, right? Data is important here. I just wanted to bring something on the why we switch to this model. Before, we were basically having the model you had on the right. So we were having a consulting person like me, for example. I was drafting a strategy for a brand. And then when the strategy was adopted by a customer, what we did, we brought this to a more, let's say, operational side with a project manager. And then we had like colleges, like we had a tech college, a creative college, a marketing college. The good news with this is we had a lot of people that were very skilled in those departments, but we recreated the silos of our customers. So it means that our marketeers were not talking necessarily as much to our tech people, and that's why we stressed our project management pool to be that kind of bridge killer, well, bridge builder and wall killers, right? This is kind of the heart of where we came from as a company with our methodologies for scalability and in regulated industries. But more and more since COVID, what's clear what happened? It's a post-COVID realization where our customer was saying, yeah, your model is nice for complex projects, for long projects, but we really now have seen that digital marketing is a commodity, right? It's kind of something we need. You name it, email marketing, CRM, landing pages, social media, even sometimes, for pure player e-commerce, or mobile apps developers, companies who wants to scale their mobile apps, they have marketing activities. So in all of this, basically, they were telling us just we need an army of people who knows how to handle this on a day-to-day basis. So we have templates, we have the channel, it's all done, and we need the fuel. We need literally to make this brand lives online. So this is where the brand specialist is a more scalable resource for companies, because you can imagine tomorrow if you have scale and you have growth through one brand tech specialist, it's quite easy to add you another brand tech specialist and to build a team around that, either per market or per product. Am I correct at seeing this like this, Vanda, in terms of the reaction you see from the old model, with like multiple agencies, multiple skills, and now what you see inside a company like OM Pharma, if we name them, do you feel that there is a much more willingness to internalize some of those marketing or digital activities?
Definitely, and I think they all, in my opinion, they all fall under the same umbrella at some point. Like a little bit of editing here and a little bit of creativity here, and it's just it's just the same thing for me. So why could not one person do all these? Especially that we have all these tools and of course inside Kainjoo, we have great resources as well that we can and reuse.
And I'm thinking also now that we talk about um, customers, right? So when we have this question quite a lot, where people ask us, "Is this a job that is internal?" And you basically have multiple customers. The answer to this question, just to tackle it, no. The idea that you get to be embedded into one customer reality. So it means that you are going to build up reflexes and an industry knowledge. So this is where we, as a company, are monitoring quite a lot of KPIs to make sure that there is the bang for the buck for the customers. And this is coming after 2-3 months. We can really monitor that the company using a brand specialist is getting a higher usage, right? A higher yield for or production power for marketing than if they had a pure agency model with the classical project management and engagement approach, or if they had to recruit someone internally. Because something that we want to continue doing and we are proud to do is we are not just, it's not a BPO game. Let's me be clear. It's not something where we come and we say, you want a resource, here is Vanda, right? For OM Pharma. This is not like a pure HR play. We are training people. We are giving feedback on different methodologies, different channels, different tech. And this is where I think the value here, both for the candidates coming up or for the customers using a brand specialist, is that we as a company, we do have that mandate to make sure you get trained, you get on the top of your edge in a way in the job you do, right? I don't know if Vanda, this is an aspect that you can give an example, but in your experience in the last 5 months, I would say, which is pretty young for you still to give a feedback. But is there an area that shocked you that you said, "Oh, I thought I knew, but now I actually know better," right? Because of the training maybe we have shared with you, or the day-to-day experience you have with OM Pharma.
Yes, I definitely improve in all aspects. I would say that I learn a lot from you on an everyday basis, but also this close relationship with the customer, and this just not just being on the freelancer part. I would definitely think this is a new journey, and there's a lot to learn, and a lot to process still.
What is the percentage, if you can just give an idea of a normal week or normal month, what is the percentage you think is linked to the continuous learning, the auto training? Can you give us a bit of that feel, right?
In percentage, I really don't know, but I would say like 2-3 hours per week, definitely. On top of the first 3 months where I really had to complete those certifications by Google and Facebook and Meta, and it was well taken care of by Kainjoo, and it really helps. Just in case if I'm not sure about something, or um, more like points that I have weak points, and in those it helped a lot.
And that's for me at least. When even for myself, after all those years, I push every time, every week I'm thinking, okay, it's time to learn something new, right? You're never an expert per se, right? You're always having to rediscover yourself in front of those emerging channels. Now we have, a lot of AI coming up, a lot of machine learning coming up in the job. And it's also, I feel, part of the job of a brand specialist to be the point of contact or the point of reference for for the company, so that they feel, I think, in a way, they have the expertise thanks to the brand tech specialist internally, which is great for the day-to-day activity. But they know that through the brand tech specialist, and because we are behind at the company, that you get exposed because of the cross industries that we have. You get exposed to the latest technologies as well as the latest tactics in terms of marketing or creatives, right? So I think that's also is the double-edged solution that we bring to those companies. So before we move on to you, I just wanted to give a bit of a flavor of the type of demand or ask, and this is one of the business cases I give to candidates that are shortlisted. When we enter the last round, we usually ask someone to, in that type of role, it's not a junior role. So let me be clear. When I say operational, it's not junior, right? So sometimes I don't know what happened in those big corporations for years. And if people remember some of the meetings I had within companies like Richter Ferring, that I was driving their departments, I was really, really pissed when leadership was associated with purely thinking strategically, and that we were like thinking that crafting something, and the operational side of thing was for the juniors, right? The thing that people missed, that the digitalization of commercial operations such as marketing or sales brought much more operational work to those departments. So it means that, let me be clearer, and I'm going to be controversial, and if people in this recording or replay, whatever, are disagreeing with me, I'm much happy to discuss in comments about this claim I'm going to put here. I'm thinking that if you were a senior director or director in marketing for years, and you saw digital as something that must be done by some geeks in the room, right? And that you are too good to get your hands dirty to build an email on a CRM platform and so on, I've been vocal enough to say that this is now the new way of running, a marketing ops, right? And that right now, what we say, quantity becomes, quality, because of so much data coming from those channels, so much operational work needs to be done at scale to produce that data. That if you never put your interest into getting those operations done, you get to a point where you get disconnected simply from this new reality of what marketing means, right? Or marketing activity means. So I would say, I'm not saying that you should drop everything and start playing with tools and marketing activities and so on, but I would say I've seen enough that those roles were sometimes really, really cornered in big corporation, like the junior role or the agency role. And I'm glad to see, to be honest, since COVID, more and more companies now telling, no, this is actually the way we are going to be exposed, getting visibility, conversion, consideration. And this is how we are going to get first party data. This is how we are going to get behavior change, understanding insights around the customer, because we are going to get really content outside through direct channels, right? So I think this is where I will really, really stress people to say, when we put 5 to 8 years experience, if it's because you are in that category of career that you know how to get stuff done, and that get shit done attitude is paramount here in terms of building credibility for our customers. But you know as well, because you are senior enough, how to understand the strategy from a brand and how to translate it into operational activity. And this is where we feel we have an edge as a company. In this case, the business case I wanted to show you here, which is just an example, right? Imagine that you have a company that is saying, hey, we want to launch a new product, and we don't know how much we need to spend on Facebook, Google, how much content do we need to produce per week, what is going to be the tonality, and so on. And here, our agency has created some stuff, but now we need to build a plan and we need to drive that plan, right? And the brand tech specialist needs to take that strategic input from the product manager, communication manager, PR manager, whatever is the source of that demand, and translate it into an omni-channel direct engagement plan with the creativity, marketing aspect, and technology aspect that goes with it. And in that case, for example, if I show you this case, this is where we are going. If you apply to those jobs, you're going and you get shortlisted, you're going to get a case, and we are going not ask you to go on ChatGPT and give us like some, because some of, unfortunately, people try to do that. But this is not what we are going to expect from answering that case. We are interested to understand what is your thinking process, what is going to be your engagement with the existing team, and what are going to be the questions you're going to ask to structure the work in a 3, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months plan, whatever, right? So we usually are pretty clear on the mission at hand when we want to give you this. We expect just a classical pitch deck, on how you want to approach a job. But please take that as the opposite of what a chat GPT can give us. We don't need to know what is the best practice of answering such a case. We want to know precisely what will be your reaction if you were to pitch back this in a meeting with us in a customer setting. Okay. So is this from strategy to operation? Is this something? Because I'm speaking here like from a best practice perspective, but I wanted you to be there, Vanda, to be the voice of the reality, because I'm not with you every day. You are with the customers every day. Is this something that you feel like getting the strategy coming to you, and you need to be the clutch to transfer that into an omni-channel reality for the brand?
Yeah, definitely.
And is this something that you feel when I say it's not a junior job, you understand why I'm saying there is operations, right? It is an operational type of work, but it's not a junior type of position. Do you agree with my statement?
Yes, definitely. There has to be a little bit of more maturity in this position, and decision taking.
So let me just give you. So this is the most. This is what we give to our customers when they ask us, why should I hire a brand tech specialist? What is going to be an everyday job for that person? So it is a bit more biased around marketing. So let me be clearer. I designed this to be on 3 legs, right? Tech, marketing, and creatives. But it's much more complicated for someone who is a developer who knows tech to become a brand tech specialist, because there is a marketing bias waiting here. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I don't want to discourage people who come from tech. I came from tech, right? And I got an interest into marketing. I worked my way through. But I'm going to say that if you don't have the basis of what is a campaign, writing, understanding what is, behaviors, behavior-based science, for when it comes to marketing activities, when it comes to pay-per-click, and that type of, inbound or outbound type of marketing, it's going to be quite a stretch because it has a marketing bias in the job description. The technology and the channel piece is quite high. I'm going to explain because we still are now more and more adopting technology within marketing. It's a fact, CRM, data tagging, and so on. And I think if you don't have that culture, if you were the type of person that were saying, yeah, I'm doing marketing, but I have an agency, right, that can do the technology piece, it's going to be a stretch for that role. It's going to be complicated because you need to know, the reality of some platforms when it comes for example, just a CRM. We use a lot of Salesforce and HubSpot, and if you don't know what's a landing page, constraints, what is a click-through rate, what is a click tag, what is a UTM tag, all those jargons. If you never approach this operationally, it's going to be complicated, right? And there is a limit to that complexity, but you will still be challenged culturally if you don't have put your hands in that. And the last piece, when I say 30% creativity, it's because we see some of the non-fit that we did see in the pipeline of candidates. It's because that creative side, the people were thinking, oh, I'll just take a Canva type of templates. That is not what we are saying here. You could take a Canva template and it will feel cheap. It will not feel professional. Or you can take a stock pictures and you will see that it is going to feel cheap. This is where you need to understand the reality of graphical design, especially in Switzerland, where we are quite a good country when it comes to graphical design with typography and so on. So this is why this is not a job to replace graphical designer, but you need to have that sensitivity. So it's pretty high up in this job, but it has a marketing bias. So in another word, if you did some graphical design in the past and you did had a bit of an experience in marketing and digital marketing, yeah, that could be actually a good fit. If you did some marketing and you actually worked with a lot of agencies in design and you have the eye for it, and you did, for example, on your personal side, some photography, how to use the Adobe suite and so on, yeah, actually that could be a fit. If you are a techie, purely, developing, yeah, that is going to be quite a stretch, to be honest. I don't want to discourage you, but I just want to be honest. And if you were a project manager, basically just managing resources, and you were approaching all those three roles, because of the nature of the operations, it might be also quite stretchy, right? It depends. I'm not saying that it is going to be also times the case, but I think that marketing biased weighting is doing a bit of a filter here for us. Do you agree, Vanda, in my definition here?
Yes, but I think you very well highlighted the little pieces that somebody needs to be good in this position. I think it takes a lot of creativity, and also to be ready to create. So really, like, just take the time and do something with your hands, and just make changes. And then if you have a bit of a talent, a bit of a born with talent, and you also know web, and you really have a little bit of eye on these tools, the CRM tools, CMS tools, and you are not too far from building a landing page, then there's a high chance that you will succeed in this position. But you really, really need to have a bit of an experience in all what Hyder just highlighted. It's not going to be enough to have just a development experience or just a graphical design experience. You will need to have a little bit of all.
And now moving on to you, Vanda. So tell us more about you. Um, and I hope it was useful. Thank you for highlighting this, Vanda. I hope this whole introduction about brand specialist was useful. But now switching to you. So where did you came from in terms of experience before joining us? So what was your background? Tell us more about you if you can introduce yourself a bit.
Sure. So I I've actually studied visual communication. So I think somebody who studied something like this in this area will know what we are talking about during this little introduction theory. But yeah, so I finished studies. I got my degree, and I was already working on some branding and marketing on Facebook for a brand for my final thesis, and I really enjoyed it. And then I've continued to participate in a project which included a lot of content creation and also editing landing pages, which was really new for me. So that was my first time ever creating a landing page or editing a website. But now with these tools, it was actually pretty fun. And I remember when I was like in high school or primary school, even I was playing with this game called Sims, and it
Mhm.
was kind of the same. You had these elements provided by the game, and then you could basically build a house. And I have a huge similarity with that game when it's coming to building a landing page or a website. Maybe it's funny,
So
but
you see the building blocks basically. You see this kind of technology slash marketing communication as you feel building blocks that are useful for a brand, right? That's what I hear.
yes. And then
Good.
and then I think nowadays it's really important to have like visually communicated ideas, and then it comes really to creativity when it's like taking a picture with your phone and then adding a little text and all these, which is part of my everyday life on Instagram, like traveling, going here and there. And then at the moment
And
I feel like what you do with your phone on an everyday basis is being part of my job. So it's fun, but of course there has to be a more professional way to doing it when it comes to delivering a project. But I think um, everything that I've done in a like I think I always took the opportunities, and I was really open to the discover, and led me to Kainjoo, and being able to see and just take the bits and pieces together.
when you started, in fact, I mean, because I wanted you to be there because people actually said it's a good idea from someone who is in the job to actually be interviewed for them because the title is a bit provocative, right? So people were telling me a lot in the interviews. I never saw that type of title. So my question to you is, before you joined us, and the job description, which is the same, huh? You saw the same job description, and after joining with the reality of your day to day, how do you feel now? Is this an accurate job description of the existing? And please be disruptive if you say no. It's actually the total different, situation. Please do it. I don't mind. But I just wanted for you to really be genuinely sharing your experience with your eyes before and your eyes now. Is this something that is correct in terms of how we described it? How do you look at it right now after 5 months? Is this similar?
Mm, I genuinely feel like this is really the new way of doing digital marketing, because you just really need to be aware of all these things and really be part of the whole process, because it's possible to be done by one person. It's not impossible. And I just feel like being weird when I look back and we had to do a lot of like briefing and just taking time to describe some super easy,
Mhm.
in my opinion, to somebody who has no eyes on creativity, for example. And I think for this job, you just really need to have this skill to see all.
And but you also you came from a position. I mean, we hired you for that because you had a bit of an experience on creating, posts and landing pages and so on. So it seems to me at least when we hired you, we asked you, show us what you did before. You did some stuff for other, companies, I would say,
Yeah.
and you are doing it now. But I feel also that this is what I like to do. We made you unlearn some things to learn new things. But it feels that you are not doing exactly the same job as what you thought digital marketing was before, right? It's kind of a bit of a, because a lot of people are telling me, yeah, I did what is in the job description. And it could be also a trap, right? Because the definition of what we call digital marketing might not be the same everywhere in every companies. Can you give us a bit of your feedback on how did you adapt to that new reality?
Um, it's an interesting question. Um, Definitely with passion, but I just look into these things like there's a huge area to cover, like three areas to cover basically. You've just explained like before, and I just feel like yeah, I can't know all these, and I learn. Take the time, and I have the resources, and I dig deeper in those little aspects that I was not aware of because I think I was um, more advanced in like editing a landing page and like creating something on Canva, but for example, adding a custom type tag to the website, that was completely new for me. But it's not Chinese, so it was well described, and I had the great help, and now I can do it on my own. And I think it took me like a 1 hour session with Google to figure it out, and it's not really not difficult. So I think we just need to be open minded and ready to dig deeper and not to be like, oh no, this is something
Mm.
very difficult.
This is
Like
part of what I call the culture, right?
yeah.
The go along, moving on attitude where we say, yeah, okay, we don't know it yet, but we'll learn it, we'll see it, and suddenly we'll know how to do it better next time, right? So it's kind of that attitude to say, we need to be the ones living on the edge of this industry, and our customers are expecting that from us, right? So it's not to be reluctant to try new things. I was just wanted to ask you about we have in our homepage, we say a lot regulated industries, and everywhere I go I speak about, pharma, healthcare, insurances, finance, you name it, and also luxury brand, I call it a complex industry because of the targeting and the segments there. But you are not a pharma expert, right? But you are working every day for a pharma company. Can you tell us more about the lending a regulated industry like pharma? How was it for you?
Mm, so I believe that we are working on a product, we are working on a project that is one thing, but with pharma, I really had to learn about the regulations that we have in Switzerland and the specific rules and the discussions with the legal team that makes the work a little bit harder, I would say, because there are um, last minute changes when we are already on the go, or we would give the go and then they just come and be like, no guys, this will not work out. And I think this is just one part
Yeah, my Wi-Fi is making some scene. Hopefully my network is coming back.
Okay, I feel like I'm back.
Yeah. So it's just the Wi-Fi stream that has been a little bit shaky. So I'm back definitely. So no, thank you for that, Vanda. I think it showcases as well that with the right methodology, the right support, any industry could be worked out with the same brand tech specialist approach, right? This is also why we designed it that way. And it is an important information for potential customer looking at this, interview or live or replay, because they usually think that there is a specific type of person that needs to work in pharma, in luxury brands, and so on. And what we wanted to debunk is that with the right training, the right support, anyone could become a brand tech specialist for any industry. It's a industry agnostic role. Obviously, you have in our company we believe you have consultant. That's why Kainjoo as a company is a bit of a hybrid between a consulting and a delivery company. The consultant is industry specific in our case. So, for example, in my case, I would be, for example, advising on the next best thing a pharma company should do from a marketing perspective or digital perspective and so on. But a brand tech specialist, by definition, could hook itself and dock itself to a marketing stream and work within it. Do you feel that this is a correct statement, Vanda? That once you know the constraint, the framework, the regulation, it's business as usual.
Yeah. I
And one
agree.
thing, Vanda, for that we talk a lot, at least with OM Pharma, because it's a nimble, I would say, small pharma company compared to the Novartis and Roche and the Abbott of the world. But would you agree that more and more data is becoming the important piece of that puzzle, right? So when we talk about marketing and tech, and this is like the circles get into the middle with a big word called data. Is this something that you feel is increasingly demanded by the customers?
Yes, I think that's one of the most important things that is uh, that is on the table and constantly asked and required by the customer in
And
all projects.
let's give some examples. So if I say, so right now you are the one person basically making that type of assets, living on the internet, right? But what I'm trying to say is it's not just changing a picture. It's not just adding, new pages, new content, and etc. You are the one as well looking at the top of the funnel acquisition, bringing traffic to this with quite some complexity, right? The traffic that we try to bring here with the trading desk that we have for programmatic advertising, the relationship with Google and Meta that we have directly to negotiate, what is the next best action for the company. This is a bit where we say data is important. It's not just having a nice website. It's a beginning of the journey. Will you agree, right? The beginning is to have those websites, but the end is actually to make sense of that data so that we do a better service, a better content, a better experience.
Yes.
So, Vanda, where do you see now that you have 5 months? What will be your expectations moving forward, right? So, in terms of how do you see, this job growing for you? When you took it, did you know, okay, I know I want to do that in the next 24 months, 2 years, or did you have like a pretty clear agenda? I just want to also answer that question for people who have a career path. They have a pretty clear idea and they ask themselves the question, is a brand tech specialist the right job for me in my career? Can you tell us more about what your future looks like in your head?
How I feel like at the moment, I'm nervous because of this session,
It's
but
no, it's not a one-to-one. So people might think it's a live one-one, between me and Vanda, but it is not. It's definitely not a one-one. So
but I'm really happy what the customer is giving us as feedbacks on what I do. And at the moment, what I feel like is that they love this position so much and they are just starting to give more and give us more trust and more projects and more areas to cover. So at some point, I think we're gonna need a Vanda 2.0 to help and to grow projects. For example, the campaigns that we are doing, or even building more landing pages. And I feel like that at some point I could really be focusing on, maybe we could like divide OM Pharma's projects into like two sections, and have somebody working on a couple of projects and then another person working on another couple of projects, because there are a
makes sense.
lot of things coming.
This is connected to my comment saying marketing is becoming so much operational that you need different arms and legs to manage that, right? But if you had a an advice to give to people who wants to apply, because you know me as well as an individual, I'm not an easy cookie. It's a little bit also why we created those jobs right in the first place, because I think it's coming from that experience that I got in those companies for the last 20 years. But what will you give as an advice to people who wants to join our company, our culture? As a company, maybe we also have, some very, very differences compared to other, agencies, consulting firms, that people might think we are. What would be the best advice you can share with them?
I think we really need people here who are very positive and have be eager to conquer the world. I would say that really like ready to do and ready to have and feel the success that this job could give you, because we are really living in this world. And I think by doing this job, you not just work, but you really improve yourself, and you will see that doing these daily tasks are going to improve your everyday life, because this job is really part of the life what we are living in. So if you feel like that you are this kind of person who live in this digital world and really taking and enjoying using some of the everyday tools like Instagram, Facebook, sharing, posting, creating, then you could be a good fit.
And it's also from at least the culture I'm trying to convey. When I say performance, transparency, people were sometimes telling me, "Oh, these are nice words you put, on your slides," and I'm really stressing everyone to ask you if they have the chance that when I say we are transparent with the customers on if sometimes we do things great, we tell it. If we do shitty stuff, we tell it. And if we position ourselves as a partner, then it means we win together, we lose together, and it's not the type of relationship. And this is what I'm insisting on, where people are kind of coming from big corporations and they think like, oh, I don't like the professional service side, it's more stressful and so on. Yeah, this is real, right? So we are not in the game of doing meetings for meetings. Our customers are expecting the results. And it means also the people who are in those brand tech specialist positions, you're not having 20 layers with the customers. You are literally embedded within. So shit gets real very fast. It's also getting you a very good accountability and you feel responsible. And I can say Vanda is responsible for her task. There is, at least tell me if I'm wrong, Vanda, but the culture of micromanagement doesn't really exist in our company, right? We give objectives, we try to develop people, But from a culture perspective, we are not like behind people, like checking every day what we do, right? So it's kind
Mm.
of a lot of trust, a lot of responsibility. And that's why we say, those brand tech specialist job, even if this is operational, requires that maturity of handling yourself. Yeah.
Yes, but I would say if you've ever worked with an agency, there's much more communication in between me personally and the client, since I am working with them on an everyday basis. So there's a really a nice I don't even know how I would describe, but there's just like you can also like rely on people and have questions, and just there's a nice piece in delivering, and I actually work with really nice people, so it's just fine.
Yeah, hopefully yeah, it stays that way. But basically, what you're describing, just to help people understand and translate that in another perspective, you're not an agency doing the jobs of everyone within the customer. You are really perceived as an asset that can help and support the existing streams of marketing manager, product managers, and so on. And I think this is important for people to know. When I say this is operational, yeah, because marketing teams needs to do stuff, right, on an everyday basis. And this is a thing where Vanda is positioned within the customers as a team member, like an extension of a team member, and she has the a bit of a uncompetitive, like a competitive, unfair advantage, because she has us on her side to always have two steps, on the tech, the creative, the marketing side. I think this is the way we could describe it: is you are a team member at OM Pharma, definitely, 100%, but you also have the might of a team that needs to come and help you if you're stuck. Where if you are an employee in a pharma company, usually if you need to be on the spot answering, you are going to ask, your vendor, right? Or you are going to ask help or recruit a consultant, whatever. In here, this is the best of both worlds. I'm also, and this is, I can say that, even if people don't like it, is also because of the politics. We try to be more lean, more straightforward, less political as a team, which helps also get more stuff done in a leaner way, right? So I'm pretty careful to not let politics build up in different teams, and so that if we have things to say, we say it, and we just get shit done. I'm looking at time, Vanda. It's almost 1 hour we've been together. If people are interested in applying, please do. And I hope this has been useful. Any last word, Vanda, for potentially future colleagues who wants to join us?
um no, I think we've told
We
everything
covered.
in.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, Vanda, I'm not going to tell you to say happy anniversary yet because it's 5 months, right? But we are very pleased to have you on board. You were one of the first, or you were kind of a guinea pig for us on many items, when we structured those roles. So I appreciate your patience as well when we were defining all those onboarding elements that now you have helped us create. And I'm looking forward to have many more vendors, not only at OM Pharma, but in other customers that are joining us for trusting us in building a new way to run marketing. Thank you so much, Vanda, and have a good weekend because it's Friday, 6 o'clock, so it's time to go for the weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well for having me. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.
Bye.